Om Gajananam Bhutaganaati Sevitam Kapita Jambu Palasara Bhakshitam Umasutam Soka Vinasha Karanam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om. Welcome to SanGita program session number 7. The program designed to help you learn Sanskrit and Bhagavad Gita together. We've already completed chapter 1 and 6 sessions and launched the second chapter now. And as usual, we will start with the review of last session, a very quick review. Last session, we had briefly explained the summary of chapter 1. I gave an introduction to chapter 2, and we studied the verses number 1 to 7 in the second chapter, when Krishna begins to speak and Arjuna surrenders to him. All this happening in the battlefield. Now I see people just trickling in to the session today. I'm reminded of what once Kanchi Paramacharya said to a devotee who was an expert in Bhagavad Gita. He came from Chennai and met with Kanchi Mahaperiva. So he asked, what you do? He said, I am an expert in Bhagavad Gita. Then he says, do you teach anybody? He says, no, I haven't done that so far. So why don't you do that? Because there is a good temple, and he came from Gopalapuram. He said, there is a beautiful temple there in Gopalapuram. You can start in the temple. So this gentleman who was a Pandita, he started his Bhagavad Gita session. And a lot of crowd came to listen to him. And after a month or so, he went back to Kanchipuram, and this time Periva asked him, how is your Gita class going on? And he says, what shall I say, Swamiji? Initially, a lot of people came. Now there are only 4 or 5 people. I don't know how to teach such a small crowd. And Periva just smiled at him and said, you are so lucky. Even Lord Krishna was lucky. He had only one student, and that was Arjuna. So you are so lucky that you are having 4 or 5 people. And I feel the same way now that I'm having at least 4 people participating in this session. And I hope more will join. But Gita, as it is a way of life. It is a philosophy. Not easy for many people to understand. But I'll try to make it as easy as possible and make you find the application in daily life. So, having reviewed the session 6, I want to emphasize the verse number 7, where Arjuna surrenders. He discovered a problem within himself, like many of us do. And most often what we do is we try to solve the problem by adjusting to the external environment, which is purely a temporary solution. Like if you have a headache, You take an Aspro or an Advil or one of those tablets, temporary solution. You have a pain somewhere, temporary solution. Arjuna, the great warrior, he found himself helpless, and he goes through the stages, the 3 stages which I mentioned. Raga, which is the discovery of a problem leading to attachment, attachment leading to sorrow, shoka, and sorrow in turn leading to moha or delusion, or confusion. So he's at a crucial juncture when he doesn't know which way to go, crossroads sort of. Whether to fight and kill his own kith and kin and feel miserable, or do not fight, give up, go back to the forest and continue to live miserably. In both options seems to be very, very tricky for him, and he is unable to decide. So we also get into such situations, whether to do something or not to do something. And then when that situation comes, what do you do? That is a time when you really surrender. When you surrender to a power which will guide you. So he says, Na chetada vidmaha. He says, we do not know. No gariyo. Which is better for us? To conquer them or get ourselves conquered? So upahataha, mentioned confused thinking, delusion. Ultimately, says sishyaste aham sadimam tvam prapannam. He says, I surrender to you, Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna, who's been waiting all along, only for this surrender from Arjuna, begins to give him the advice. There's a lesson here. Do not advise somebody unless he asked for. So voluntary advice may get into trouble. So Krishna is kept silent all along chapter 1, and now until the time Arjuna asks him, he doesn't start giving him the advice. It's not really advice, it is teaching. The big difference. The one-time advice, people forget it later on. But here, it is a long-term teaching which gets into him, so that he applies that teaching for different situations. That is what is expected of us, that the teachings of Gita will help us in difficult situations. There's an old saying that you give a man a fish, it's food for him today. But you teach him how to fish, he's eternally able to feed himself. So it's likewise here, that teaching really helps us to apply the principles in our daily life. And that is why the whole Gita is Saransam of Yoga and Vedas. Yoga is not really a set of exercises, but it is a set of tuning your mind. It comes from the root yuj, to join your Jivatma with Paramatma, the Almighty. So you get into a situation where you are linking your mind with a superpower, and you synchronize your thoughts, your words and actions. When that happens, and that linkage is provided by yoga, then things go smoothly. Otherwise, they are at conflict. You think something, You say something and you do something, all three are conflict, people get into trouble. So here, Arjuna has surrendered himself not knowing what to do. And Krishna, in fact, chides him. Don't be a coward. Come on, get up. You have to fight. That's your duty. Like a shot in the arm. And Arjuna now feels that he is not able to take any action. He's so confused with intense grief. So in verse 8, let's start now what we want to do today. We're going to continue from verse 2-8. I recite each verse as usual in Sanskrit. And I'm going to split the Sandhi words to make it easy for you to pronounce it, because some of them are really long. And you will be able to understand some of the Sanskrit terms and the roots which come in. And listen to the verse and the comments with a spirit of devotion. That helps a great deal. This is not a mere lecture, but it is something where you have to apply your mind with a spirit of devotion so that whatever we are talking about, you find it useful in daily life. So let's move on to verse 8. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yachokam yuchoshanam indriyanam avapya bhuma vasapatnamriddham rajyam suranam apichadipatyam. Now, in this verse, Arjuna continues to express his grief. Nahi prapashyami. In Hindi also we say nahi, no, isn't it? Nahi prapashyami, I do not see. Mama apanudyat. Apanudyat. You can split it. Apa plus nud is a root. Nud is to drive away, to remove. Apanudyat, mama, mine. Yat shokam, this grief. Yat is this. Shokam is sorrow or grief. Utsoshanam. Ut plus sush. Sush is to become dry. Utsoshanam, become dry. Indriyanam, my senses, my body organs. Avapya, split it. Ava plus ap, to attain. Bhumau, bhumi, bhumau, on earth. Asapatnam, asapatnam. Sapatnam is enemy. A means opposite, without an enemy. Ruddham comes from the root rudd, to become wealthy, to prosper. Rajyan, you all know, it is meaning kingdom, from the root Raj, to rule, to be eminent. Suranam, Suranam, Suraha refers to the gods, the deities from Sura. Asura is just the opposite. Demons are called Asura. Sura, Asura. Apicha, also. Conjunction. Adipatyam. Adipati, you know, we say Adipati, right? Adi plus Pati, Lord or Master. Adipatyam is a noun, lordship. He tells Krishna, I do not see that it would remove my sorrow that burns up my senses. Even if I should get the prosperous and unrivaled dominion on earth, or become a king over the gods. So he says, this wealth is not something important to me. This royalty is not important to me. I don't see it is going to really take away my sorrow. No, the fundamental principle in Sanatana Dharma is materialistic pressures alone are not adequate. You have to elevate yourself spiritually. We believe in it, and individual enlightenment is emphasized throughout the Vedas. Sanatana Dharma says that each individual must look inwards and eventually elevate his own self to the level of Paramatma. So here he says, I don't think it's going to remove my sorrow if I'm going to get even all this kingdom. This grief is really burning up my body organs. So here's a lesson. You may buy the most expensive mattress, still it doesn't guarantee you sleep. So likewise here, he says, with all this material prosperity, I don't think it is going to remove my grief. See the extent of confusion. Let's go further. Next verse. We are shifting the scene now to Dhritarashtra. The television camera moves on from the battlefield to the studios, where Sanjaya is telling Dhritarashtra what is happening in the battlefield. Sanjaya uvacha eva mukva rishikesham gudakeshaha parantapa nayotsayiti govindam mukva tushtim babuvaha. Sanjaya said, Evam uktva. Uktva is speaking, having spoken thus. Rishikesham, the name given to Lord Krishna, we explained it before, Lord of the senses. Gudakeshaha also, we explained, Gudakeshaha refers to Arjuna. Gudakayaha isaha, one who has overcome sleep, one who is always alert. Arjuna. Parantapaha is also, I think we mentioned before, param tapa. Tapa means heat. In Marathi, when you have fever, they say, call it tap. Fever is called tap. Come from the root tap, which is heat, which is the heat caused by Arjuna to the enemies, the scorcher of enemies, the terror. Na yotsya. Yotsya has come from the root yud. Na yotsya, I will not fight. Iti said so. Govindam uktva, to Govinda. Tushnim means silent, not speaking. Babuva, from the root bu, to become, certainly. So Sanjaya tells Dhritarashtra the scenario in the battlefield. Having spoken thus to Rishikesha, Lord Krishna, Arjuna said to Krishna, I will not fight, and became silent. He became silent. In other words, he is pleading helplessness. Let's go to the next verse. Number 10. Tam uvacha Hrishikeshaha prahasanniva bharata senayor ubayor madhye vishidantam idam vachaha. Sanjaya continues, Tam uvacha. Uvacha spoke these words to whom? Krishna Prahasanniva. Prahasan come from the root hasa, to laugh. In Hindi also you say hasna is to laugh. Hasyam, noun, is humor, a joke. It's called hasyam. Prahasan, prahasanniva. Smilingly, as if smilingly. You know, if somebody smiles, it means he knows. It could be sometimes sarcastic. Well, what do you think? I know it. So here it's something where Krishna smiles. I know you are going to come to me. Bharata, oh Bharata, coming from the lineage of the renowned King Bharat, after whom our country India is named Bharat. Senayor Ubayor Madhye. We have learnt it before, in the midst of two armies. Vishidantam idam. Vishidantam plus idam. Be such is to grieve, to the sorrowful, despondent. Vachaha is a words. To him, to Arjuna, who was sorrowful, despondent in the midst of the two armies, Lord Krishna smilingly spoke these words. Oh, Bharata is calling. Now, the essence of Gita is really to promote self-knowledge. What is called in Sanskrit as Atma Vidya. Because most problems happen because we are either ignorant or our knowledge is not appropriate. We are not able to apply it properly. So one ought to understand that Atma Vidya, or knowing oneself, is the essence of Gita. It is also called Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya. So in this case, you are now learning it from Lord Krishna, who assumes the role of Guru, not just to Arjuna. He is called Jagat Guru, the Guru to the world. In our Dhyana Slokam, we say that, isn't it? Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. He is a Guru of the entire world. So here, he smilingly speaks to Bharat, to Arjuna. What? What does he say? Let's go to the next verse. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The most essential part, the most important part is now starting. Asochan anvasocastvam pragyavadam cha bhashase gatasun agatasum cha nanusochanti panditaha. Now there is a lot of sandhi, that's why I split it, the sandhi verse, to make it easy for you to pronounce it. Asochan anvasochaha tvam pragyavadan cha bhashase gatasun agatasun cha na anusochanti panditaha. Let's see the individual words' meaning and explanation. Asochan, sucha. From the root sucha, to grieve or mourn. Even shokam comes from that. Not worthy of really lamenting or grieving or mourning. Asochan. Sochan is to mourn, but is the opposite. Anvasochaha, anu plus sucha, you grieve. Tvam, you, respectable thee. Pragyavadan, pra plus jna. Jnanam, you say, is knowledge. So root is jna, which is knowledge. Prajna means to possess knowledge, intelligent. Vadan comes from the root vada, to talk. We also say vadam, which is an argument between two people. Vadan. Cha and basha say, to speak. Gata soon, from the root gam, to go. We learnt it earlier in Sanskrit. Gam, to go. Gata soon means gone. Gone from where? From the world. Gone away to the other world, which means dead. Agata soon, opposite of not dead, which means living. Agata soon. Cha and na, do not. Anusochanti, do not grieve. Anusochanti is to grieve. Panditaha, the wise, the learned. So Lord Krishna, see Bhagavan, the blessed Lord said, you grieved for those people who don't deserve your grief. And yet you speak words of wisdom as if you are most intelligent. Pragyavadan. You are arguing as if you know about it and you have the knowledge. But you must learn that the Panditaha, the wise, the learned people, those who attain maturity, they do not grieve for the living or for the dead. You know, Panditaha here refers to the wise. The Sanatana Dharma, as I mentioned, it emphasizes gathering that kind of knowledge, the highest level of maturity, which can be attained only through various rituals like meditation. You know, these yogis, as they call it, those who are practicing yoga, not really a set of exercises, but the synchronization of mind and the body and trying to reach the higher elevated levels of thinking. They go into meditation, and the yogis and munis, they do what is called tapas. Our Puranas, our Vedas are full of them. And those tapas, they do it alone, not with a group. In many other religions, you have what is called mass. People go together. You have service to the community. You have groups of people bowing at the same time. But here, even though we have temples, it is for individuals' enlightenment. Most people go because they want to worship a deity for themselves, for their family. It's different from other religions that promote really group prayers. But here, it is self-enlightenment that is most important, that is being emphasized. So here, Lord Krishna starts it. Asatoma sadgamaya, the very famous advice which says, from the unrighteousness or lack of knowledge, you go to the knowledge, sadgamaya. In Tamil, you say, Asat or Asad, it comes from the word Sat. Sat means good. One who possesses knowledge. Asat is just the opposite. One who is a dumb guy. Asat. So here, Krishna starts his teaching by, you are mourning for those people who do not deserve your grief. The wise, the Panditaha, they don't grieve either for living or for the dead. Going further, verse number 12, Natve vaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadipaha nachaiva nabhavishyamaha sarve vayamataha param. It's fairly simple verse, not much of sandhi here. We'll go to the meanings. Na tve vaham. Na is never. Tu eva aham. So in one word, there's a little sandhi there. Tve vaham. Tu eva aham. Now you find a lot of double negatives here. Huh? You'll find a lot of na here, which really make it positive. Na tve vaham. Never, but indeed aham, I. Jatu is anytime. Nasam. Na plus asam. As is to be. Asti, to be. To exist. Was not existing. Nasam. Natvam neme. Not you. Tvam. Naime. Not these. Janadipaha. In India, the president is called Janadipati. Jananam Adipaha Janadipaha. One who is leading the people, which means the rulers, the kings. Na chaiva, na cha eva, never also. Eva certainly. Babishyamaha, shall exist. Sarve vayamataha param. Sarve vayam, all of us. Ataha param, hereafter. Now, Krishna expands his teachings into philosophy to not only teach Arjuna to the entire world. Arjuna was also very learned. He was also a Pandita in one sense because he was very conversant with Shastras. So his problem was not really lack of knowledge, lack of education, but his problem really arose from one factor called attachment to his relatives and friends and gurus, which led him to this confusion or moha or delusion. So, is it not true that amongst us, many of us still suffer, still find it difficult to make decisions, even though we may have PhDs, doctorate in a subject, and yet unable to progress within ourselves, be happy, and make decisions? Now you go to a bookshop, you find hundreds of books that advise you how to relieve yourself of suffering. You have training and you have yoga programs, many places. We tell you how to relieve your sufferings and be happy. And not only they relieve suffering, but also they relieve your purse, your money too. Very expensive one. Yet you find the unhappiness or sufferings continue. So here he tries the philosophical route of telling Arjuna how to resolve this problem. Now, there is something, the moha is also called delusion. In a forest, when you go, there is a mirage. You see as if there is water, but when you go near that, there is no water. A person walking in darkness sees a snake lying on the road and he gets scared. Then he uses a flashlight. He finds it is only a piece of rope. To one moment, he's stunned. Likewise, here, Arjuna is stunned. Even though he's knowledgeable, somebody has to act as a torchlight or a flashlight to remove him that delusion which he had a moment before. And here is where Krishna is coming with a philosophical approach. Tamasoma jyotirgamaya. We say that from darkness unto light. What is darkness? It is just absence of light, the absence of knowledge. Once you bring in that flashlight, it's gone. So here is a flashlight coming up, telling that there was never any time that I did not exist. That means I always existed, eternal. There's no time that you are the kings. We will ever cease to be existing in the future. That means he's talking something about eternal thing, immortality. The past, I existed. The present, I exist. And the future, I shall exist. It applies to everybody. It's a fundamental philosophy of Sanatana Dharma that every living being has got something called Atma, or the soul, which is no different from Paramatma, as Advaita philosophy says, because we are all part of the divinity. So that divinity, that part of the divinity, which is a soul or Atma, shall exist. It is indestructible, it's imperishable. This is what he is referring to in this verse 12. It shall not perish. When you see in the lawn, in the morning, sometimes I see dews, drops of dews, and the sunlight comes, and you see every drop of dew shining like pearls. One sun, and you find hundreds of them being reflected in those little drops of dew, like small gems, sparkling sort of. So likewise, here the Almighty is like a sun, and then we all have that little spark in us. All of us, all living beings have got. That's a fundamental belief in Sanatana Dharma. And the Advaita principle is just that we are no different from the God. There is no duality. So the focus is really on Atma. And Krishna starts explaining the features of Atma. Now you find the adopting different approaches. He starts with the philosophy, then it will come to ethical ways of arguing also. He starts with philosophy. Going further, verse 13, Dehi no aspan yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati. Also, quite a few sandhis here. I'm going to split it up. Dehino asmin yata. Dehina, deham means body. Dehinaha, having a body. That means embodied, which is referring to the soul. Asmin, this. Yatha, just as. Dehi, again, body. Different stages in the body's appearance. Kaumaram, in childhood, you see how the child jumps up here and there, keeps running. full of energy. Yauvanam, youth, another beautiful phase of life. The hormones start working. Jara, old age. Can you help it? A baby is born yesterday, today is one day old, it grows on. It passes through childhood, youth, and old age. Tatha, likewise. Dehantara. Anya dehaha, dehantaram. Anya means another. Another body. Prapti. Pra plus up, to get, obtain. Dhiras tatra, dhiraha, the bold, valiant one. Plus tatra, there. Na muhyati, does not grieve. Just as in this body, the soul passes, the body passes into childhood, youth, and old age, so also does the soul pass into another body. The firm man, or the bold man, the valiant man does not grieve there at such a change. A lot of people get worried, oh, I'm getting old, what happens? My hair is gone, my youth is gone. I was talking the other day to my grandson, 5-year-old. So I told him I don't have hair. He says, Tata is very simple. You put a lot of oil and give massage, it will grow again. So it was a simple solution he gave me for a complex problem. So here, the Sanatana Dharma is something universal, and it's unique in the sense that we believe in rebirth, that the soul passes from one body to another. Even in other religions, they say, may the soul rest in peace, right? May his soul rest in peace. So here we see every individual is a conscious entity. The Atma is formless. It is not a body organ. Yet it pervades as a divine spark, as I mentioned before, within you. It is not bound by your body. It is not visible. It's indestructible. So here Krishna is explaining, just as your body changes into different shape from childhood to youth and old age, likewise, tatha praptir, the soul passes from one body into another, and the bold man does not grieve at such a phenomenon, at such a change. That is the philosophy. He is talking about Atma, and he goes on further to explain further. Go to verse 14. Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agamapayinor nityas tam titikshasva bharata. I have split the sandhi for you because the second line is very complicated. Matra sparshas, tu, kaunteya, son of Kunti, referring to Arjuna, sitaha, ushnaha, heat. Sitaha is cold, ushnaha is heat. Sukha dukkataha. Sukha means happiness, pleasure. Dukkataha, sorrow, pain. Agama apayinaha. Split the second long word. Agama apayinaha anityaha tan tichishchasva bharata. The explanation, I've given you the meanings. Matra. Matra is referring to material pleasure. Material pleasure. Sparshaha is being to touch. One word, matra sparshaha, materialistic sensory perceptions. Tu only Kaunteya, son of Kunti, Sita Ushna Sukha Dukkataha, Sitam Sitaha, cold, Ushnaha heat, Sukam happiness, Dukkam is sorrow, Agama Apayinaha, Agama is to come, Apayaha to go, to harm, to hurt, Anityaha not permanent, Nityaha is permanent, Anityaha not permanent. Tan, all of them, Titichasva is to endure, to tolerate. Bharata is Arjuna, we saw it before. So, gist of this verse is the sensory contact with materialistic objects, O Arjuna, that really cause heat and cold, pressure and pain, have a beginning and an end. They are impermanent. You need to endure them bravely. Aren't we doing it? When cold comes, the winter has started here in Chicago, we will start wearing the clothes, woolen clothes, sweaters and caps and so on. And the heat of summer will also be there in summer when we wear light cotton clothes. So we accept it, we endure it. You have people living in Alaska, you also have people living in Sahara. There are certain natural laws. So you accept nature as it is. We don't question it. The sun always rises in the east. The seasons come and go. You accept it. You don't question that. You don't question why chilies are hot. Fruits are sweet. So they are natural laws. They don't change. They are eternal. We talked about eternal. They are eternal. So, Arjuna, please learn to accept nature and tolerance. That is why you find in Hinduism, in Sanatana Dharma, we have a lot of rituals which make you tolerate pain. Like walking on hot coal. I don't know whether some of you have seen it. In India, particularly South India, they walk on coal, hot coal. They also have certain pricks in the body with a hook, which they pull a small cart. They endure that harm. Tapas, meditation. The typical picture I remember in good old days was to show a sadhu sitting on a bed of nails or standing on one leg. Toleration. That develops enduring qualities. The change is a part of nature. Growth and decay are bound to be there. Accepting the change is what is essential. Some of you might have read the book called Who Moved My Cheese? It's a management book, which is a hot seller. I remember having read it long, long ago. Who Moved My Cheese? The mouse which got adapted survived. And the mouse which was really depending the cheese will come to it went into grief. So here the philosophical advice that you have to learn to endure changes because they come and go. Going further, 15th verse. Yam hina vyatayantayete purusham purusha arshaba samadukka sukam dhiram so amartatvaya kalpate. Let's split the sandhi here. Yam, one to whom he certainly, vyatayanti, vyata is pain, and vyatayanti is not disturbed. Ete, all these Purusham to a man or person. Purusha Arshava. Purusheshu Arshava. Purusheshu Arshava is among men, the excellent, the chosen ones. Sama is equanimity. You have a level even in happiness or sorrow. Dukkha Sukham. Dhiram. Bold, firm. Sahahi. Amrtatvaya. You know this. Immortality, eternal. Kalpate. Eligible. In Rudram, you have this Vak Yagyena Kalpatam, Srotram Yagyena Kalpatam, Mano Yagyena Kalpatam. You become eligible, you fit, you are fit to talk well, you are fit to hear well by doing sacrifice. Yagyena Kalpatam. So Kalpate here became eligible or being fit. O Arjuna, the firm man who is not disturbed by happiness or disturbed, in other words, who is cool in American language, one who is cool and is steady in both situations, is certainly eligible for immortality. Immortality. Immortality is being talked about in different ways. The soul shall remain immortal, and even though the body is dead, the soul shall remain as it is. The lack of endurance or resistance to change, that is what leads to unbalance in the mind, and that is what we should learn to accept, to endure. You see the road rage here sometimes, particularly in India, one person will be there, the light will be red, and they'll be honking continuously. The people are becoming so impatient that they are not able to adapt or endure that little delay. Sometimes I find in the airports also, there is so much of rush. So it's the age of pressure cookers, age of where crash learning courses. Everybody wants to be quick and then seize the opportunity. The tolerance level is very low. But here, the firm man, the bold, the wise man is not disturbed by happiness or distress and remains cool in all situations. Now, there are people like that who go through the extremes in life, very wealthy and become very poor. I think it's happening now in India that many wealthy people who had a lot of money are becoming suddenly poor due to the demonetization. I'm not sure if they are going to be having the same attitude now as what they had before. But here, Krishna advises that the best, the firm man, is one who is not disturbed by happiness or distress and is steady in both situations. So he's advising him to be steady. Going further, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, upayora vidrishtantas, tamyos tattva darshabhihi. Nasato, na, yavar, asat. Nasat iti asat. That is to exist. It also means truth, noble. Same meaning applies. Asat could mean dumb. At the same time, it also something which is non-existent. Vidyate, there is. Bhavo, root, bhu, to be. Bhavo. The context here is enduring. Na bhavo, na abhavaha. Never changing quality. Vidyate, there is, tadha, of the eternal. Ubayorapi drishtaha is a very long word. Ubayo api drishtaha antaha tu anayo tattvadarshibihi. When you say it in one, you may stumble a little bit because it's one long word. To be split as ubayoho, of the two, ubayor seno rubyor madhye, you learned it before, of the two, api, verily, drishtaha, seen, antaha, end. Like Vedantam, you say, it's the end of Vedas. Antaha, end. Tu, indeed, anayo, of them, tattvaha, of the truth, darshibihi, by the seers. The unreal, which is referring to the material body, has no enduring quality. It is not permanent. But there is no change of the real. Which is real? The soul. The truth about these has been seen by the great seers of the saints. They know what it is all about, and they have seen that, and we also see it, the material body is not permanent, it is not immortal. But there is no change of the real soul. The truth about it has been seen by the seers. So here Krishna is talking about the features of the soul or the Atma, that it is something which does not change. It is imperishable. It's not like the human body. But as the human body goes through the different stages of childhood, youth, and old age, the soul also passes through different bodies. And Hinduism is one religion where there is belief in rebirth, that the person who dies, his soul passes on to another body, like the change in the shape of the body as one grows. So do not grieve about such a change. What he means here is, you are not really killing them in the real sense. Their souls are going to survive. Does it mean the killing is justified? No. Killing is not justified. There is got to be punishment, but when it is done for dharmic purposes, it is okay. Like a judge is delivering a judgment on a murderer. He sentenced him to death. Is he making a grave crime? No. The judge is giving a right judgment, because he has to be punished. That is why you find many of the Hindu deities having weapons to deal with the evil. It needs to be dealt with. So there they don't see any harm in killing. The evil has to be removed. And you see it everywhere today, even in the movies. The hero eventually becomes successful by killing the evil or doing away with the evil. So that is a philosophy which is being advocated here. And he goes on further, which we shall see the next session. Next week, it's going to be Thanksgiving, so we may not have a session. We will have it the subsequent Saturday, because I will be traveling over the weekend, and many of you will also be enjoying the Thanksgiving holidays, and we will have the next session not the next Saturday, but the Saturday after.